All right. We are live, ladies and gentlemen.
All
Hello.
right.
Yes. I already see Michael is in the live chat. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Michael's like the best. He's in everyone's live chat. Like I've got to be better at getting Michael knowing when you're doing your live streams so I can get involved in more of them. I've been on a couple of them, but I need to
Yeah. The thing
get
is,
more involved in
he does
his.
so many that you never know. He'll send a message like 5 minutes in. I'm about to start. You better be there. So,
Michael is like a workforce man. He does a lot of them.
yep.
But I'll go ahead and start recording. Let me get going on this podcast. Let me start this. All right. Welcome to Forcify Entertainment, where we keep things on the light side. I'm your host, Michelle, and with me, as always, is my co host, my sister, Natalie.
Hello, everybody.
This is episode 38. We are vastly approaching episode 40. And if you have not yet, we encourage you, as always, please subscribe to the podcast and give us 5 stars and an awesome review. That is,
7 stars.
well, they don't have 7 stars yet, but you
Yes.
can request it from Apple. So do that. And
You
then also,
deserve 7 stars.
yes, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And then also go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel for special events like tonight, as we are doing a live stream right now on YouTube. So make sure to do that because there's kind of special opportunities for YouTube. So make sure like and subscribe the episode and yeah, subscribe. but anyways,
It's free 99.
it is free 99.
So
It's a good price. The price is right. So we are so glad tonight to be joined with a very special guest. We have Alberto from Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me, Michelle and Natalie. I love your show. Thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to talk some Ray.
Yes.
we are too. Yes.
Yeah, very excited to talk some Ray. Love the character of Ray. And in fact, we were on his show, for those of you who don't know, and you all need to, where can they find your show? You're pretty much on everywhere podcasts are, I think.
Yes. So, podcast wise, you can find me anywhere: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, Google Podcasts, all those places. Just Radio Rebellion Star Wars podcast. And I also have my YouTube channel. So just search for Radio Rebellion podcast and you'll find them there. New live shows every Saturday at 5 p.m. Except this coming Saturday is a little bit special. It'll be 11:30 in the morning. But usually 5 p.m. on Saturdays. Radio Rebellion podcast. Same thing. Go find it real quick. Subscribe so you don't miss anything. And see you next week.
Yes, yeah, definitely do. I
subscribe. You won't be disappointed. Check him out.
Yes, he's got a great show. I really enjoyed. You did it was like just a 10-minute, off the top of your head, your thoughts on the Lando
Yes.
series. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
But yes, he does a great job. He does it by himself, which I don't know how you do.
It's something.
It takes guts.
Yeah, I mean it's good in the way that it's my show, so it's my rules basically. So I get to decide what to talk about, how to promote it, and all that stuff. But on the other end, it does take a lot of time coming up with everything yourself, running the social media and all those stuff. So sometimes I do think if I'm going too far, I need some help. But at the same time, when I have guests like you guys a few weeks ago and just last week and coming up, I love having guests on my show. Just get to talk Star Wars like we're doing today, which is my main thing. So it works. It's both pros and cons, but so far so good.
Yes, yeah, you do a great job. So if you have not checked out Radio Rebellion, he's on YouTube. He's everywhere podcasts are. So make sure to check out Radio Rebellion because you won't be disappointed. Give him go rate and review his podcast.
7 also. You can give me 6. We'll left this 7 for you. Or give me 6. I'll be okay with 6.
That's right. And it was actually on your show. We were discussing some of the awesome women in Star Wars. And after we discussed Rey in that.
Yeah.
And we decided that there was so much to talk about. I said, hey, would you like to come on our show and we'll just discuss Rey? So that is how we got here tonight.
Here I am. So yeah, it was a great episode that we did a few weeks ago. There's so many great female characters in Star Wars. We got a chance. We went for almost 2 hours, like an hour and 45 minutes, talking about a bunch of them. And yes, Rey deserves her own episode. So let's get it.
Yes, let's do. So this is different for us. This is the first time we've ever exclusively just had a character discussion. So we're going into new territory tonight. So join the conversation and let's talk some Rey. All right. Before we get started with Rey, I will say, is there anything that you want to say? You kind of already mentioned it. Anything else you would like to say about your podcast? You know, what made you want to start a podcast by yourself, which is challenging, as we pointed out.
Yes. So give me 1 second because I lost my feed here. All right, here we go. So I decided to start my podcast. I've been listening to either YouTube channels talking about Star Wars or Star Wars podcast for a few years. I think a little bit close to the release of The Force Awakens is when I started to get into listening to Star Wars podcasts and stuff of that nature. But this past few years, just listening to all the debate, controversies, everyone analyzing all the movies, TV shows, breaking news, and all that, I wanted to be part of that conversation because I was seeing some of those reviews and analysis, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, you guys or girls are making great points. I have my own opinions of why that scene or that character resonated to me, which is different what you guys are talking about. So I want to be there and say, no, I saw it this other way, or some other people saw it differently than you. So just like you guys say, join the conversation, had that different voice. So earlier this year, at the beginning of January, I'm thinking of, okay, so let me see how can I get myself in those conversations. I already talk Star Wars basically by myself all day anyways. So just turn either a microphone on or the video and the camera and start recording. And that's how it started. I wanted to originally start with a YouTube channel, but I didn't know anything about how to do a YouTube channel. So I thought it was too complicated. I said, I'll do a podcast. That seems simple enough. So that's how I started. I started Radio Rebellion podcast, I think, end of January. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, I started making little short videos about each episode and started putting them on YouTube as a way to, all right, if they see the videos, they'll get interested in the full podcast and then just make them go to the channel. But just making those small videos, which I was doing on my phone, was taking twice the amount of time and effort than the actual podcast. So I'm spending too much time on this. Why don't I just go straight to YouTube, record there, and see what happens? And that's how I started. I fell in love with it because it shows my personality a little bit more. I can engage with the audience. With the podcast, if I stop for 3 seconds to think of a thing to say, it just sounds like everything went dead silent. And then I freak out and start, I don't know what I'm doing. Here in video, I can do a lot of this and just people see me thinking. And I can always look at the chat and, all right, I don't know what to say. Let me see what the people are saying in the chat and then get the conversation going again. So it allows me to be a little bit more myself than just recording the podcast. And from then on, I love it. I'll keep doing it till people want to listen. Sometimes I get down on it when you have to think of, okay, so I just recorded this week. Now I gotta start thinking for next week topic, and it's Thursday and you don't know what to talk about and there's no news. And that's when you start getting scared. But apart from that, it's been great. For people that don't know, my show usually start with a little talk, just how the week went, go through any Star Wars news that's relevant, and usually pick a special topic to spend most of the episode talking about. We also do book reviews, a couple of reviews of the final season of the Clone Wars. Obviously, when Mandalorian season 2 comes around, we'll be doing our weekly reviews on them. This guy, come on. This is gonna be my co-host now in every show. He'll be around. He'll help me. So yeah, that's a quick breakdown, I guess, how I got into this, 6-7 months ago.
Yeah, because I think we started like right around the same time, like at the end of January, beginning of February. Yeah, so yeah, that's awesome. So again, we encourage you all to join the rebellion and check out Radio Rebellion.
Yeah, we want more. We need more rebel soldiers. So come on.
Yes, right. Definitely. But yeah, no, that's great because it is same here. Like you begin listening to people and you're like, well, I have this thought, and you just begin to want to express yourself. So it's kind of similar. I get what you're saying. But now we'll just kind of jump into this character that I know all three of us really love. And sadly, she's kind of a controversial character at times with
Yeah.
certain people. But that's fine. Everyone's allowed to have your opinion. Just don't be a jerk about it. That's all I'm saying as far as things like that. So we'll get into our conversation about Rey, and I want to start with kind of my overall, kind of what I see when I see the arc of Rey throughout these three movies. And I find her actually to have a very interesting story. I find when you go back and watch the original trilogy, Luke, right from the get-go, when he meets Obi-Wan tells him, you're going to become a Jedi like your father. So Luke's journey is very much about becoming something, like doing something. And Rey's character, if you go back and even watch the first trailer to the final trailer to The Force Awakens, literally the first thing you see is Rey, and you hear Maz Kanata say, "Who are you?" And that literally to me sets up Rey's arc. Rey's arc is not like Luke's, that is just about becoming something. Rey's arc is all about identity and like who she is. And I find interesting, I'll let you talk here in a second. I find it interesting in life, we can't put blanket statements over people. But for the most part, women, if you ask a woman, what do you do? Or something like that, tell me about yourself. A woman is more likely to associate with their connections. Like, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, or that's kind of how women are for the most part. There's, always exceptions. Where men, you ask a man, tell me about yourself. They'll usually start with what they do. And so I find that interesting.
Like their vocation.
Yes, like their vocation. I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, whatever it is. So I find that interesting with these two arcs when you look at Luke and Rey, because you kind of see that echoed in their arcs, which I think relates to both male and female. Again, Luke is more just about you're going to become a Jedi, where Rey, it's this whole thing of identity and who are you? And that's the arc you see Rey, and we'll get to that at the very final moment of the sequel trilogy, is Rey confidently proclaiming who she is. So to me, that is this arc of this character.
Oh, and can I say something quickly? Just like a difference between Luke and Rey. Luke, I think from the beginning, he's dissatisfied with life on the farm. Yeah. He wants to become something. With Rey, she's not really looking to become something. Like Michelle says, and an overwhelming thing I think you'll hear us say a lot is she's looking to become,
to be somebody,
to find out who she is and her belonging in the world. And when she kind of goes on this journey, at first she actually just keeps wanting to go back, like to her farmland, so to say, or Jakku.
Yeah, her desert land.
Back to where she was, hoping the people that abandoned her will come back. But so they're very different in that way.
Yeah, I mean, just going to how you started, Michelle, saying that's a controversial character, and whatever, people have their opinions about Rey, but a lot of times there's no weight behind it of why they're really complaining. And not only comparing it to Luke's journey, also Anakin's journey is very similar to Luke's, and they want to do something. Anakin tells Qui-Gon, "Oh, am I going to become a Jedi like you?" And then in Attack of the Clones, "Oh, I'm going to be the greatest Jedi ever." And Revenge of the Sith, he tells Padme, "Come with me, I'm stronger than the Emperor, we can rule together." Everything is getting something. Same as Luke, like you mentioned, Natalie, he's looking at those twin sons, wanting something better for his life, leaving Tatooine, joining the rebellion, and then, "Oh, I'm going to become a Jedi like my father at the end of Return of the Jedi, or I'm a Jedi like my father before me." Like you said, they're just trying to become someone and be the heroes of that journey. Rey's completely opposite. So I know a lot of people compare The Force Awakens and A New Hope, and I do understand there's a lot of similarities to it, but there's also a bunch of differences, starting with Rey. For me, and we'll talk more about it later, Rey doesn't become the hero of her own story till at least the end of The Force Awakens, when she gets the saber, which we'll get to it. But yes, she's just, I'm here. I can't go too far because I'm waiting for my parents. I need to find out who I am. I'm just gonna help BB-8 get to where he needs to go with the resistance, and then come straight back to Jakku. I can't miss my parents. Sorry, I hit my microphone. So yes, are three very different heroes' journey, and I hadn't seen it from the point of view that you mentioned in terms of the way people usually relate to men and female in terms of who they are as a person. But I think you may be onto something on that track.
Yes, and you just see it again, this idea of her journey is truly finding who she is. Again, the final trailer, who are you? And she says, or I think she says, like, I don't know really. I can't remember exactly what she says, but there's no answer. And then in The Last Jedi, she's so desperately wanting to know what's her lineage, who's her parents. And then you see it in The Rise of Skywalker. And I find it interesting because I just happened before we started this to finish The Rise of Skywalker. I'd started last night, but went to bed. I find it interesting. Palpatine, he says to her right before the what I love the moment of, and I'm all the Jedi. He says to her, "You're nothing. You're just a scavenger girl." And what's he doing? He's attacking her identity. So literally everything about this character is about who she is and her truly finding herself. And it's like you said, kind of relating back to Luke or Anakin. They're not reluctant in getting into this thing that they feel called into. Rey is very reluctant. And you see that throughout her journey. And especially in The Force Awakens, when the saber calls to her and Maz is like, take it. She wants nothing to do with it and runs. So it's just a very, again, some of the people that dislike her say she's boring, but I find her to be a very fascinating character. Did from the very beginning. We can go back. I think Rey's introduction is one of the greatest introductions in Star Wars history. I mean, it's like over 2 minutes before anyone even speaks. And what are they doing? They're allowing you to see how lonely her life is. And you truly begin to feel for this character pretty immediately. And not to mention, we get the incredible John Williams theme, Rey's theme, that to me is one of my favorite themes in all Star Wars at this point. I mean, it's an incredible theme. Awesome piece of music. Hello to RFB is in the house. Nice to see you here.
Hello.
Oh, and Vader Girl.
Anthony.
Nice to see you too. But anyways, anything you want to say on that? Because I do. Her introduction is just incredible to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to say. So let's start with the introduction. Again, introduction to Rey is one of the best introductions to a character in Star Wars. We're accustomed to, or we're used to the great villains introduction, Darth Vader in A New Hope, Kylo Ren in Force Awakens. But the way we're introduced to Rey first is just a faceless person. She has the goggles, the helmet, all the wrappings. You don't know, male, female. By the trailers, we know, but in story, we don't know who we're looking at. Rappelling inside a Star Destroyer, going down those sand dunes, living by herself in the middle of the desert, actually nowhere, like she says, in this broken Imperial Walker. So yes, it's a lonely character that has found a way to survive in these awful conditions. So since that point, and of course, the theme when she starts going down the sand dunes, at first it's just some simple notes, but it's so iconic now. It's one of the greatest character themes that John Williams has done. And like he said, he doesn't want anyone writing for Rey. He's so happy with that moment that he was able to capture. But just the way she was introduced and showed to be this survivor makes me not understand why people go to the Mary Sue statement, which I think we'll talk later. But since her introduction, you know that she's there to kick butt, survive, and she's not gonna let anyone push her over. Moving all the way forward to the end of Rise of Skywalker, to that scene with the Emperor. At that point, she's not turning back to the dark side. She's convinced that being a Palpatine or your lineage doesn't matter. That was everything on The Last Jedi. She doesn't know who she is. She needs Luke to save the day. If you're not going to do it, then Ben Solo is our only hope. So again, she's still not believing in herself. So that's why Kylo Ren, you're no one. No one understands you, only me. And then in Rise of Skywalker, when they're having their lightsaber fight in the Death Star, when he tells her, "You're a Palpatine. No one. You can't go back to Leia. You can't go. You're just hate is in your side." And that's when she's broken. She goes to Acto. She says, "I'm done. I'm doing what you do." Luke came. Grandmaster Luke saved the day. And from that point on, when he tells her, "I knew you were a Palpatine. Leia knew that you were a Palpatine. We didn't care. Lineage doesn't matter. It's who you are as a person." From that point on, she gets it. And it doesn't matter what the Emperor says to her. She's done. She's not a Skywalker in that sense, but she's a Jedi, and she's not turning to the dark side. So yeah, she's made the decision that her whole journey of finding out who she was is not, like Kylo said, in the past, talking about her parentage, is who you are, who you are moving forward. So it's a great moment. It's a great teaching moment for all of us, basically. And that's one of the reasons I love her journey so much.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, to all of that, it just truly is an incredible, because even in The Rise of Skywalker at the beginning or midway through, after she realizes, well, she's beginning to kind of be afraid of who she is after the lightning scene and all that.
Yeah.
And she tells Finn, everyone says they know who I am, or everyone thinks they know who I am. I don't think anyone does. And so she's so questioning her, like, who she is. And it's like you said, I absolutely love another scene that just gets you every time, because it's two incredible female characters, is when Leia hugs her and says, "Rey, don't be afraid of who you are." And that's just like a powerful line. And then
I think we all need to hear that sometime.
Yes. And I absolutely love it. It hit me watching it this past time. Of course, Luke, as you said, tells her there are some things that are stronger than blood. And I think that's what, to me, I'd be interested for kids who are or people who were raised maybe that were orphans or foster care. To me, this is a very powerful character that speaks to them, because it is that line, some things are stronger than blood, and she truly is. She's an overcomer, and she finds her family as she gets moving forward, and she finds who she is as she keeps going. And I love Palpatine tells her when she's there, he says, your master Luke Skywalker was saved by his father. The only family you have here is me. And it's just a couple moments later, she senses Kylo, a Skywalker, has arrived. And I loved, I finally connected those two. It was kind of like, yeah, your only biological family is Palpatine, but your other family that you've kind of been adopted into just arrived, and they're here for you. So I absolutely love. And I know XML people don't like it, but that's just kind of how people are. But a lot of those people don't really like Rey anyways. But I really do. Is it a little cheesy? Maybe. But I do love, because in The Rise of Skywalker 2, first, before I get to that little girl, when they're on Pisana, she says, "What's your name?" And she says, "Rey." And our C-3PO basically tells her she wants to know your last name. And you can see the pain in her face when she says, it's just Rey. Like she's truly struggling. So that's why I love the very final moments with Rey. Again, it truly does fully bring her arc to this awesome place when she, who are you? I'm Rey Skywalker. And I really like it. I know people are entitled to their opinion, whatever. But to me, she found, as Maz says in The Force Awakens, the belonging you seek is in front of you, not behind you. And
I love that.
And she says, look, they're still good. And she says, Luke. And so to me, to her to get that, she truly finds who she is, and adopts this family name who took her in, and Luke teaches her, and Leia becomes like a mother to her. Han took her in, and literally Ben Solo, a Skywalker, gives her his life. That's his final moment on this earth, is literally trading his life for hers. So you fully understand why she would take that name and not want the name of Palpatine.
And sharing some of my thoughts, thinking back to when we meet Rey, and throughout the trilogy, up until really the end, I feel like something a lot of us can relate to. I feel like that does make her a relatable character. I don't think Rey has a very high self-esteem.
No.
I don't think she thinks much of herself. And it's kind of an interesting parallel when you think about it. When we meet her, she is, in the desert, a scavenger picking up trash that other people have discarded, but that she can find use for. And I think she kind of thinks of herself in a similar way, like she has been discarded and is trash and forgotten and abandoned. But not knowing deep down there is such a purpose for her. And I don't know why I feel a little emotional, but
well, because that's what we're saying. That's why
she is a diamond in the rough.
I really reject the boring trait. No, there's a lot to this character. Like, this character has a powerful arc and a powerful story, and it is emotional at times and touching. So I mean, I definitely think so.
And I think her story, it's kind of her against her a lot of the time, and how many of us can relate to that truly, of becoming confident in who she is. And like Michelle said, I know people don't like it, but the ending really did work for me. When she looks over and sees her mentors basically and what has become her family, it all makes sense. She's Rey Skywalker, and she is confident now in who she is.
I mean, there's a lot there. Even starting with what you're saying, Natalie, Rey is one of these people that you meet out there and you think they have their life together because she's helping everyone. She helps BB-8, she helps Finn, she helps Dio. Every time she sees someone in need, she helps, but she doesn't take care of herself because, yes, she's living in Jakku, in this junk planet, living off scraps, but she's giving her life or more of her time to others instead of taking care of themselves. And you meet people like this in life, they have it all figured out. And when you go back, no, there's a lot of underlying issues that no one saw. So I think you're right in that sense. Rey Skywalker, this is the biggest controversy in all of the sequel trilogy, or one of the biggest, because there's a few. And I understand, but I also don't, in the sense when people say, they forgot or they didn't follow through with what Rian Johnson did by saying she's Rey from nowhere. And that, they just changed everything for Rise of Skywalker. No, she's Rey from nowhere. She doesn't have any family. Saying, you're a Palpatine. Oh, great. She's never met this person. She doesn't know anything about it. So just because you hear a name doesn't know that they retcon her story. She's still Rey from nowhere till the very end of Rise of Skywalker. And everything that, since she leaves Jakku on The Force Awakens, the people that take her in, like you said, Han Solo, the first parental figure that she has, even if it's for a couple of days. After that is Luke, this Jedi Master that she's looked up to, the legend of Luke Skywalker, and that's her first Jedi Master, Jedi trainer. So she starts relating to him, even though it ended badly, but she sees how he selflessly gives himself up to save the Resistance. Spends a year with Leia training on Agent Claus. That's her Jedi Master now. That's her family, is Leia. So the closest she has for her family right now, apart from Finn and Poe, which are her extended family as friends, is Luke and Leia, especially Leia, and that connection that they have. And yes, people that are, before I get to that, for me, Star Wars is two things. Initially, it's hope. That's the story of Star Wars, hope. But found family, you'll find it through all Star Wars. Anakin adopted by the Jedi and raised with the Jedi Council. Luke and Leia adopted literally by Bail Organa and Owen and Beru Lars. So there's adoption right there. Han Solo in the Solo movie starts first with Beckett as a kind of parental figure. Then, of course, that found family with Chewie. Same Chewie back to Han Solo. So found family is prevalent in Star Wars. So, of course, it's going to then show up in Rise of Skywalker with our main character accepting that the people that took her in, Skywalkers, that's her family. So just because you find out 45 minutes earlier, you're a Palpatine, no, that's just a name. That's not me. I am this person, the people that helped me get to this point where I'm no longer helping others and forgetting about myself. I'm putting myself first. All Skywalkers, Luke Skywalker, especially Leia. Unfortunately, we didn't get too many scenes because of what happened with Carrie Fisher. But in the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, and if you read the novelization, there's a lot more interaction between Rey and Leia that elevates that relationship that is not there when she's in Pasana with the little girl. But by the end of the movie, yes, she is a Skywalker. There's no sense for her to go, no, I'm still Rey from nowhere. No, that damages her journey on my end. I've heard from people that have taken the name of the parents that adopted them for that same reason. So yes, she started as Rey from nowhere. You're no one that's gonna help you, as Kylo says in Last Jedi. But by the end of her journey, she's become part of the Skywalkers. So for me, it tracks all throughout the trilogy, and I'm great that they decided to go with this ending for her.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And let's just, since we're on this character, I think we might as well kind of address, um, let's address the Mary Sue thing while we're at it,
Okay.
because it does get old and it gets very annoying. And so let's just even begin with how we meet her. They pretty much set up that she is a scavenger. We see that she's very capable of taking care of herself. That's very set up. And let's say from the right, or from The Last Jedi, I think we see when she's just training with her staff before she gets the lightsaber. It's kind of safe to assume she's done that a lot, probably, with that staff. And my point is Anakin had his mother, and Luke had two loving adoptive parents that took care of him, Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru. Rey is literally a survivor. Like, she has to be scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's had other encounters before she beats up those two guys that come after her. And I just
think, and beyond, I think she has deep emotional wounds, obviously, from that abandonment, and yet she is still kind and compassionate.
Yes, definitely. But my point is, it's not the same thing. And I don't know why people can't accept. Okay, so and I love the character Luke. I really like Anakin. So I'm not in any way trying to put these down, but let's compare, as they like to do in another way. Luke, they give a line that Luke, he's the best flyer wherever they say, they name it. So then we just full-heartedly embrace that one line that we don't ever see, and we trust him to make a 1 in a million shot, and we're all fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yet we can't trust that Rey has trained as the scavenger who lives by herself, that has to protect herself. We can't buy that she may know how to use that staff and be good at fighting. Like, what's the difference there? I'm not getting that.
Yeah.
And when people are like, oh, well, she can fly the Falcon. If you watch, when she takes off in the Falcon, I mean, it's a disaster for the first, like, it takes a minute for her to get with it. And she, at no point does she make some incredible, like, they truly make Anakin and Luke seem like they genuinely are good pilots. They never do that with the character of Rey. She just knows how to fly the Falcon. That's it.
Yeah.
Like,
then it starts with Anakin in Phantom Menace. Oh, I'm the only human that can do a pod racer because I have my reflexes are too fast. Okay, we accept it. I'm not saying it's bad. And they, of course, is explaining his midichlorians count is 20,000. But okay, we have to accept that he's the only human that can do it. Luke, not only what you just said, but in Empire Strikes Back, is the first time that we see a lightsaber fly across the screen is when he's hanging upside down. Again, I don't know if people complain at that point, seeing that as a young kid, you're just amazed at the powers of the Force, which I'm sure the kids watching the sequel trilogy felt the same way, but older people that are used to it find ways to complain. And same thing that you just said, she's been living by herself with on-card plug, which is not the best parental figure, I assume, for about 15 years. So scrapping, like we already said, living in a broken down AT-AT or AT-AT, however you guys want to say, so I don't want that chat to get on me. She beat up those two thugs. She beat up Finn when he came to help her, knock him out cold. And then when they get into, after they fly the Falcon and they meet again in the little entryway or wherever, she tells him, "Oh, I've flown before. I've never left the planet." So this is not the first time that she's flown. Maybe the Falcon, but that doesn't mean she doesn't know how to fly. I mean, I drive my car. I've never drove in a Ferrari, but if I get inside, I'm sure I can figure it out. So I see it that same way. She might have not flown the Falcon, but she's flown spaceships. She can figure out how to turn it on. She knew that Encore Plot had installed, I'm sure someone's gonna, RFB probably is gonna tell me the compressor. So she knew what was going on with the Falcon and the changes that had been made to it. So she knew how to maneuver herself inside that ship. So again, if you watch the movie, watch the introduction, they'll tell you right from the beginning, this is not someone to mess with. So yeah, Mary Sue, no. If you want to say she's too powerful in the Force, okay. But by the end of Rise of Skywalker, she's part of the dyad with Ben Solo, which makes both of them stronger. It's explained. If you want to say, oh, they just made that at the end just to make it make sense, well, that's every movie anyways. So yes, Mary Sue's statement doesn't hold any water in my sense, but it's just something that people throw out just to, I don't like her because she's a female character and she's too strong, and I'm just going to say it doesn't make sense. Sorry just to address the chat a while back. They were asking if we preferred Rey to just be a nobody with no familial relationship. I kind of wanted her to, after Force Awakens, to not have any familiar last name to be related to anyone. But the way that it's done, I don't think it affects her character. If it was revealed, oh, she's Luke Skywalker's daughter, then that's more of her journey, then yes. But yeah, she's a Palpatine, but that doesn't have anything to do with who she is. I'm fine with it.
Yes, for the Skywalker trilogy, I wanted her to be connected to someone, and the three people, or the options that I felt like you had coming out of the Force Awakens were either Han and Leia somehow, like maybe they were the ones that left her, Luke, Palpatine, or Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, because this is this is the Skywalker saga. So you knew they were going to connect her to someone. That just made sense. I know that she doesn't have to be, but for the Skywalker saga, I just thought they would. And I was happy, honestly, when she was a Palpatine, because I think that gives people something to look up to. That, like, you don't have to be what your family is. Like, you don't have to take on that identity. And she rejects that identity at the end and says, I'm Rey Skywalker.
Yeah. And that was something I was thinking earlier, actually, in kind of an emotional aspect of things. That is a powerful message there, I think, in making her the granddaughter of this incredibly evil guy. She basically is a cycle breaker. It stops with me, and she's going to be the ultimate, good guy. But yeah, just like, not to get into it, but you don't have to be who your father or mother was, or who your grandfather was, or who any of these people. You can break the cycle and be your own person. I think she's an excellent example of that, and someone to look up to in that.
And that's why one of the most powerful shots to me in The Rise of Skywalker, and I love the GIF is everywhere if you have it, is when they're having the fight where they're on separate planets, but it's through the Force.
Yeah.
And when they both knock over the Vader, like the ash, like there's something powerful about that shot, because it's two characters, as Kylo says to her, my mother was the daughter of Vader. Your father is the son of Palpatine. So there's this powerful image of the two of them coming together when they do have this lineage of evil, like to some degree, through, in each case, a grandparent.
You can go your own way.
Yeah, like they truly decide to go their own way at the end. So I really love that. And but yeah, the bottom line is, some of the people on the Mary Sue thing, they made up their mind going to see The Force Awakens like one time because they weren't happy of how, in my opinion, a lot of times the legacy characters were treated. And that's fair if you want to feel that way, but don't take it out on Rey.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I think it's people that wanted more out of Luke, Leia, and Han, and were let down because it's not their story. And in my opinion, it shouldn't be. It's fine that they were there just to make the bridge. And of course, they're extremely important characters. But this is Star Wars for a new generation. They needed to pass the baton to the new generation, the new leads. And I'm fine with that. And I think the Rey character is a great character. So we've been talking for a while. So yeah, just people that you can't convince, and then I'm okay if they didn't like the character, but most of the reasoning behind it, it's hard for me to say I agree with you. I'll be okay with your opinion, but this is why I think it does work. But it's the internet, so it doesn't work that way.
Exactly. And let's get back to, and we'll go into these moments we love of Rey. We can talk about that. We've already talked about her introduction. So the moment that, okay, for starters, watching, I will probably never have another theater experience like The Force Awakens, because none of us thought we were ever going to see the legacy characters on screen again. So to go to the theater, having watched them and loved them my whole childhood and life, that was special. And I immediately, as much as I love those characters, though, became intrigued with Rey. And to finally see that moment that I know you love too, where where the Skywalker saber just foo past Kylo to her, and the theme music plays.
That was awesome.
I mean, that's chilling. I mean, I will never forget in the theater, just like blown away at that moment. Such an incredible moment. And back to kind of bringing in the Mary Sue thing. Okay, I recently watched the Phantom Menace. So these same people don't have a problem with, was he 9 or 10 in the Phantom Menace? They don't have a problem with him taking a spaceship into space and blowing up an entire like destroyer. Like, that's cool. But we have a problem with the lightsaber going to Rey. Like, my point is be consistent. Like, he was truly, like, the Force was guiding him. That's how he made it out as that kid and did what he did. Like, it's the same with Rey. Like, the Force, to me, especially in this trilogy, we see that the Force has almost like a will. And it's like the Force was like, as Snoke says in The Last Jedi, he says, light or darkness rises and light to meet it. And they set that up, that as Kylo grows in his strength in the darkness, that the Force literally wills someone in the light to become his equal. So to me, it's just very much explained. And if you want to keep going down the route of, whatever, it's just kind of what you want to do. And last thing, and again, I love Luke. I love Anakin. So it's not putting it down. I'm just trying to compare these arguments. You know, Luke gets what, 24, 48 hours with Yoda, and we just accept it? Like what about it? I mean, I know that was quality time, but my point is it's not like he had years with Yoda on Dagobah. So it's just, I don't know. It to me, it's like you said, some people, they just kind of made up their mind, and that's how they are. So it is what it is. But I will say to everyone, because I see people comment on Twitter, like, I unashamedly love the character of Rey, and I don't have to give an explanation to any person on the internet as to why. Like, I love that character, and I say that to all you out there listening. If you love this character, don't feel the need to explain it. You love the character, just embrace it and move on. Who cares what people think?
Just come here, come to Force of Light, leave us a comment on why you love Rey so much. We're here with you.
Yes. And you know, to play devil's advocate a little bit, I can see why, like, big lovers of Luke, that came out weird, but big fans of Luke.
Right. Down to 6 stars. No more 7 stars for you. 6 stars now.
She lost a star.
I just lost a star. But I can see why they, you know, because I know some people personally that weren't a huge fan of what they did with him in season 2.
You mean episode 2?
Episode 2. Yeah, not season 2, episode 2. And while I can see that, and I can see people being disappointed that he died in episode 2 of the new trilogy, like, when I look back on it, though, it was pretty epic the way that he went out, and like we had never seen that before. They did something new with that. So it's just like, I'm just saying, I see both sides, but I also think if you think about it, and he's kind of at peace with the twin sons, you know,
well,
and
but that, Natalie, that's kind of a different argument, because you could still find Rey a fine character and be upset with the treatment of Luke in the sequel trilogy.
That's true. So, yeah, it's kind of a different subject, but yeah, I was just thinking of that in that second episode.
Yeah, the Empire Strikes Back is my favorite movie, and the scenes in Dagobah with Luke and Yoda are my second
Gold.
favorite in the whole saga. All the stuff about the Force, it's right there with Luke looking at the twin suns as my favorite. And just like Michael is saying, I know they go by a time works a little bit different there. But again, if we want, this is not explained in the movies. You have to go back to 20 different materials to find this out. And even if it's a few weeks, she spends at least a year with training with Leia between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. So she even still has more time to train with a seasoned Jedi than Luke had. It's Yoda, but okay. Anyway, going back to my favorite scene in all of the sequel trilogy, in my favorite movie of the sequel trilogy, Force Awakens, seeing the lightsaber in the snow starting to wiggle a little bit, and Kylo's hand stretched out. Then it goes flying, he flips back, and I was expecting it's going to be Luke on the other end. I think like 95% of people thought that saber is going to Luke Skywalker is back, he's going to kick butt. No, it's Rey. And when she gets it right now, and then the music starts, my favorite music, the Jedi theme, the binary songs start very slowly. You hear a few notes. She's holding lightsaber. She's scared out of her mind when she's holding it. Then Kylo's kind of thrown off. How the hell did you grab that? And then you can see her resolve. She turns it on, and then the music swells. I get chills. I tear up. I teared up at the movies. I tear up every time I see that scene. And that's where I'm saying, just give me this scene. You can complain about anything, but that scene is so powerful for her character, because that's where her story starts. At least for me, that's when she said, I have to do something. I can't go back home. I'm in the middle of this adventure, and I have to step up. And she becomes the hero of her own story. That's when we learn, oh, wait, it's not Finn, the Jedi that we thought that's going to lead this trilogy. It's this scavenger that we've been following for 2 hours. Then she does what Matt says. She closes her eyes, lets the Force in, and then she's able to defeat Kylo Ren. So that part I love. It's my favorite Rey scene, my favorite scene in Force Awakens. And we can keep talking about this scene, but we can move on. And yeah,
Well,
we're
you
done with
bring
the
something
noise.
up that brings something up I want to say, because that scene is used in this argument of the Mary Sue. And I want to say this, that Rey never defeats Kylo throughout this trilogy.
Mhm.
Because Kylo has her dead to rights, in that even though he's very wounded, he has her dead to rights very quickly on the edge of a mountain. And then he says, you need a teacher. And he has no desire to kill Rey. So then she catches him off guard, and then it's just over. They're split. Like, she doesn't like just destroy him, because he doesn't want to kill her at that point. Like, he wants her to train under him. And then, had Leia not intervened, Kylo was like about to kill her in the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
I mean, he destroyed her in that fight at the end. Like, he was just toying with her, really. And so again, the story of, oh, well, she just wins everything. No, she doesn't. If you actually watch the movies, she doesn't. And again, back to kind of this being more her journey. Like Natalie said, Rey throughout this trilogy is overcoming her own kind of identity crisis and kind of just not knowing who she is and these insecurities she has, because she like we said, she's the reluctant hero, and she's overcoming that.
And I think that could be called a character flaw, because
Yeah, definitely.
that's another big thing, you hear is like, oh, she's just this perfect character, she doesn't have any character flaws. Well, she's extremely insecure at first and unsure of herself and has a low self-esteem. So I don't know what else you would call that but a character flaw. Yeah. That's something she overcomes as it progresses, and it takes her quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, she goes to find Luke to bring her back to the Resistance to help win the war. He doesn't go. She failed at that moment of she's been sent by Leia to pick up Luke. Hey, here's your lightsaber. Get your butt to the car and let's fight. And no, I'm done with this. Here's your lightsaber. So from that moment, she's losing everything that she tries to do in Last Jedi. She needs Luke Skywalker to save the day. At the end, she does rescue the Resistance. Rise of Skywalker, like you said, Michelle, she's done. That fight when Kylo Ren tells her, no, you're a Palpatine, you're destined for evil, that breaks her down, because she's always looking to who she is, and that's the last thing she wants to hear. So he could have ended her easily because she's just walking, telegraphing every shot. He's just blocking and having fun with her. It took Leia's sacrifice for her to be able to defeat him. So yeah, saying that she gets things handed or wins at everything, it's people just picking and choosing what they want to complain about. Real quick shout out to Talk with My Hands that I saw on the chat. He'll be on my show in 2 weeks, I think, or in 3 weeks. So make sure to check that out.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah, it is what it is. We'll move on from that because as RFB said, he said the Mary Sue is empty water. I agree. I totally agree. But so let's just talk about, we've already talked about one. What are some other favorite Rey moments that you have?
I do love also in The Force Awakens when they're running and trying to find a ship, escaping with Finn. Oh, let's go to a quad jumper. What about, that's garbage. Oh, the garbage will do. Just that scene in general, that's when I fell in love with Force Awakens. And when I said, okay, we're in good hands. So that whole scene, she going into the cockpit saying, I can do this, I can do this. And then trying to fly by herself, just reaching, trying to hit everything without a co-pilot. I love that scene. What else?
I want to say about that scene. It was watching that scene in theaters. That's what I said. I'll never feel that way again, I think, in a movie. It was like it reignited my passion for Star Wars in a way nothing had since the original trilogy. Like that, like her and Rey and Finn's dynamic there, like it's magic on screen. And like it truly ignited, like, I'm in Star Wars again. Like, this is awesome. Like, I love that scene. Yeah. But you can continue.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments from Force Awakens also, because to me, that's when the movie starts getting interesting, at least in my eyes. It's the beginning with Poe and Finn escaping in TIE Fighter is great, but when the Falcon comes in, this character, it's a ship, but it's a character with its own theme music, it just picks up the movie. So that scene is great. Going to Last Jedi when she starts training with Luke, even though it's Luke making fun of her. Oh, reach out with the Force. Yes, I can feel it. I can feel it. And he just smacks her hand. It's a great moment for both of those characters. It gives Luke that a little vibe of Yoda in Dagobah making fun of Luke. And her.
That's true. I never thought about it that way before.
And her kind of realizing, okay, this is not as easy as I thought. Going again back to comments we just made. She's, oh yeah, I'll just reach out with the Force. I got this. No, you gotta settle yourself. You still need to learn. So that's a great learning experience for her. Rise of Skywalker, of course, the snow battle with Kylo Ren in Force Awakens is one of my favorite lightsaber battles. The throne room scene with Kylo fighting the Praetorian Guards goes up there.
Yeah, so good.
I do prefer some other battles to that one, but I know a lot of people love that. And then her scene in Rise of Skywalker when she puts her blade behind and passes it to Kylo Ren, to Ben Solo, it's close to my favorite scene in Rise of Skywalker, because at that, like I said, I don't think that she would turn to the dark side and she wasn't going to kill Palpatine, but she senses Ben Solo. It's not Kylo Ren, she senses Ben Solo. You can see him doing the little head nod like, yes, it's me, I'm here. She just goes and then brings out the empty hand. That's a great scene for both characters, and it shows the progression in her as a character. I'm sorry, that's my dog barking if you hear something.
That's okay. But speaking of that scene, it makes me want to I'm hyper tonight, but it makes me want to clap just hearing you go over it again. Like it was that good.
Oh, it's great. And so we've already established some of my favorite scenes, of course, the saber scene and the Force Awakens. In The Last Jedi, the throne room scene that you said is incredible. And also, it's small, but I love Rey has her staff. She's training. She looks over and sees the saber and ignites it, and her theme kicks in. And as she begins swinging the saber, like that's just a great scene. And even then, she messes up. Like she's not some perfect character. She messes up, and those nurse women, like they can't stand her because she keeps causing problems. And then in The Rise of Skywalker, which is why I just watched it, yesterday and today. That's why I love that movie so much. Like, she's just so awesome in The Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. Like, every scene she's in. And if you go back and watch, it hit me, she's in almost every scene. Like, Daisy Ridley, dominates that movie and does an incredible job. I mean, from the very beginning of her floating and be with me, they're not with me. That whole training montage, I absolutely love. And you can see Rey, as much as Rey is this kind, pure-hearted person, she deals with a lot of anger, and I think that's relatable. Like, you can be this good person and have to deal with anger, but the key is she deals with it.
Mhm.
It's not just she just it doesn't have anger; she just deals with her anger. And so I love pretty much everything. I mean, come on, the flip in the desert of Pisana. I mean, come on, that's an incredible moment where she does the flip, and then, oh gosh, I'm just getting excited now. In the theater, I was like, oh, like when Finn says they've got Chewie, and just the hand goes up and begins to pull down the ship. I was like, yes. And then I even love the lightning fingers. And then, like you said, I actually do I love, and you guys know this if you've listened to our Rise of Skywalker discussion, I love her and Kylo's, that whole scene is incredible. Their fight
Start to finish.
Yes,
Yeah,
everything
great.
about it. That fight, and Rey is so angry, and she just keeps trying so much, and she keeps losing kind of to him. That's an incredible scene. And then the whole end. I mean, my gosh. And when Rey is on the ground, and says, why is this happening? My internet is doing something weird. When Rey is on the ground and says, "Be with me," and just a total moment of desperation. And my gosh, you hear all the Jedi voices. You hear Ahsoka. You hear Anakin. You hear all of them. And then for her to get up, and there's just something about the lightsaber, shoo shoo shoo, when it comes.
Yeah.
For her to have Leia's, and then for Luke's and Anakin's to come to her, and again as Palpatine begins to denigrate her character. You're nothing. You're just a scavenger girl. And I'm all the Sith. Yes. And I'm all the Jedi. Boom. I mean, that move, I will never not love that scene. Like, it makes me tear up and like want to run around in my house, like take a lap. Like, that's what it does to me. And I just love it.
We're showing our dorkiness in full force right now.
We are. Like, yes, it gets me every time, and I love her end. But Natalie, do you have any? I think we've named all the Rey moments.
Yeah, I'd have to say you pretty much named them. I'd agree with them, especially that ending scene. And I am all the Jedi. That was epic.
Okay.
Also, I thought there was a good question right here from Ralph. Do you think some of the critics would have felt differently if Rey had a trainer in The Force Awakens?
And it's like, well, okay, the critics, as in some of the guys, I don't think they really cared. I honestly had this thought. I really think it's more about the treatment of Luke Skywalker, and then they just projected onto Rey. Like, we didn't get what we wanted, so this character sucks. Like, sometimes
kind of what I was saying earlier. Yeah, not like that, but yeah, that's kind of what I pick up.
Because, I mean, Luke doesn't get trained, and Anakin doesn't get trained in the first movie, and yet they do some incredible things in each of the first movie. So, and again, like I said, Ralph, going back to that, she loses in that duel to Kylo Ren. I mean, he has her dead to rights, and he doesn't want to kill her, and she gets out of it in that moment. But I think some of them were just going to fuss no matter what, because what they wanted was Luke's story continued, and they got Rey's story, and I think they just weren't going to have it, is the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's not going to change. It's a different character if you have her trained in The Force Awakens. It's a different character totally. But going back to the ending of Rise of Skywalker, if you read the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book, the way Rey grabs that second lightsaber flying through her, the way she has her hand is the same way in this comic book that Kylo Ren calls a lightsaber to himself when he's battling someone. So it's a parallel there between Ben and Rey as this dyad, even the way they sometimes behave. In Last Jedi, the way she's training on Acto with the pillar is the same way, the same moves that Kylo Ren does when he's battling Luke Skywalker. I didn't make this up. People have done this for me, and I've seen it. And this is where I'm going to go against a lot of the things recently on Twitter about people saying that, and I wanted this during the movie, I thought it was going to happen. Instead of all the voices, have the actual actors there, the actual Jedi. Have Luke and Anakin fighting with Rey to defeat the Emperor, because then you have all three trilogies defeating this evil person. Yes, visually, It sounds great. There's graphics about it. It looks great. But that diminishes Rey's character and her journey. This is her fight. She doesn't need anyone else to fight for her. She does hear the voice of the Jedi, like Leia tells her, just quiet your mind and you'll hear the Jedi of the past. She needs that to bring her up, but she's the one that has to defeat the Emperor, and she needs to do this by herself. Visually, it will have broken the internet, broken the theaters if you do have Anakin's Force Ghost and Luke's Force Ghost come, but that devalues Rey's journey throughout the whole trilogy. And I'm glad they didn't go with it. Yes, I wanted that watching the movie because I would have just lost my mind. But when you start to think about what this trilogy is about, which is Rey's journey, she needs to do this part on her own. To get to that point, she needed help from her friends that she didn't want to accept before. But the actual end, when she says, Luke Skywalker is not going to do it, Ben Solo is not going to be the one to save us, it's going to be me, she has to do that alone. Help from your friends to get to that point, but she's the one that needs to take the final step and the Sith and the dark side.
And we see, again, character growth. Like there is arcs there to people who want to act like there's not. We see, again, she was the reluctant hero, and all of a sudden she is so invested, she literally gives her life to this cause, to defeat this evil.
Yeah.
So you just see, again, tremendous growth in all of that. And I agree with everything you were saying. As much as you would like some of those things, I think the way they did it actually was probably the best way to handle for this trilogy and the hero of this trilogy, in my opinion. But anything else you guys want to say about that? I know on Twitter we had streaming or not streaming, trending. Continue Rey's story, and I see talking to my Hans. Thank you for what you said. That's sweet. But I know he's the one who started it's up here, Natalie. Natalie's looking at like, what did he say? There he is. He was the one who I first saw use that hashtag Continue Rey's story. And so
thank you.
So I want to say to you, I'll ask you, I tweeted out why I think her story should continue. Why do you think, or do you think it may be years down the road that they should pick up Rey's story?
This is something I thought about a little bit, and I want to say I talked a little bit about this at some point in one of my episodes where all this story should go, because I didn't see a lot of it continuing, because to me it's difficult. I don't know how Rey, because everyone wants Rey to start a new Jedi Order. For me, well, you need Force users for this. How is she going to find all these Force users? There's no other Jedi, there's no Jedi Council, there's no Jedi Library, where Jocasta knew that Jedi librarian had holocrons and whatever with all the Force-sensitive children around the galaxy, and that's how the Jedi were able to find them. So I don't know how she can be able to find new Force users. You don't need to explain this. You can say in the Crow, for the past 5 years, Rey has been traveling the galaxy trying to find Force users to start her Jedi training, her Jedi temple. Okay, that's explained. It's it. Let's go. I do think it's going to happen at some point. I'm not sure if it's or when you say about continue Rey's journey, if it's Daisy Ridley coming back, or are we counting books, novels, and TV shows animated. I do think there's going to be something either animated or book related or book-wise after the Rise of Skywalker that will continue her arc or this character moving forward. If we think about it practically, we have the new movies are 2023, 2025, 2027, which we don't think is going to be episode 10, 11, 12. So the next one might be 2029, 2030. So that's 10 years after Rise of Skywalker. Then yes, you give the character time to create stories around her. So I do think we might see her again in a movie. I don't know if it should be episode 10 and do another trilogy with Rey, because when you do a trilogy, it has to be this big event, which I don't want, again, two competing governments or evil powers. We've seen this 3 times, and that's when it's too much, and I'll even say that. I think it needs to scale back a little bit and be maybe a one-off, just one movie of Rey, and make it short, make it just her story, not this big evil in the galaxy. And earlier today, so what can that be? And it might be her starting her Jedi Academy and she doesn't know how to relate to this. People don't know too much about the Jedi at this point. They've been extinct for years. Obi-Wan was the last one. Then Luke was there for a little bit. He tried to start his temple. That blew up. So when Rey meets him, oh, he's a myth. Are the Jedi and the Sith even real? The hand tells them, yes, it's all true. But that's not out there. So if you do a story with Rey trying to find Force-sensitive children, but she meets someone or a group of people that don't want anything to do with the Jedi, they've heard all these stories, they're not as great as everyone thinks, and then there's this competing faction of people wanting to train as Jedi and this other group that are Force-sensitive and very strong in the Force, but I'm not Jedi, not Sith. It's just I don't want anything to do with the Jedi. I have my own way. And they're very strong Force users, just as her. And she's trying to have that battle just one-on-one with her smaller Jedi group. And this other faction might work better. It's a smaller story, more character-driven, instead of doing a whole trilogy with a bunch of new characters, new evil empires. I think stay away from that. Do maybe just a one story, one movie with her, or just do it books, TV, cartoon, animated, or comic books.
Yeah, good point. And I agree. I think I would be shocked if in 10 years or so we don't get Daisy Ridley reprising her role as Rey. And I think you're totally right. Because what is one of the things that a lot of people want or wanted from Luke? They wanted to see Luke's progression of a Jedi. They wanted to see all that and see those adventures with Luke. To me, you could even do more than one movie if it does good, if you do a first one and people really like it, because there's so many little adventures you could take a Jedi on throughout the galaxy. Because think about it, the Jedis are keepers of peace. So it's just like, to me, there's so much you could do with this character and us see her down the road, how she's progressed. And like you said, a smaller scale, not some galactic thing, but these smaller mission type movies that could be really entertaining. And like I said, that way, we all wanted, and especially the older generation, and I understand why, wanted to see Luke's story continue. But I think now we could now see with this generation that has come to grown to love Rey, and years down the road give that continuation. And I have a proposition. What if Rey finds a little green character that at this point is maybe late teen to early 20s Baby Yoda? That one. And those two go on some adventures together.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
For Bob in the chat asking if there's any Baby Yoda fans. There he is. We know Baby Yoda isn't going anywhere. He's going to be around for a while in the Star Wars universe, so you never know. And another thing, continuing Rey's journey after Rise of Skywalker and mirroring what we wanted see from Luke, he was finding or in the search of Jedi artifacts and Sith artifacts. So we can have even a TV series in Disney Plus, like the guy from Certain Point of View is saying, of Rey in a journey with Maz Kanata, someone said, or someone else, going to different places, trying to find Jedi artifacts to learn more about the Force, learn more about the Jedi and how to start this Jedi Order. So you can have smaller stories like that, Indiana Jones style, like I know you guys love, and The Mummy. On this adventure, going to find all these relics and then having those character developments and introducing new characters that might pose a challenge to her, but are not these grand Sith masters or whatever.
Yes, definitely. Yes. I just think I would be shocked. And people are like, well, Daisy Ridley said she's kind of finished. Yeah, well, Harrison Ford wanted killed off after Empire. So, and Disney got him to come back twice. So I have a feeling that Disney with their money can get Daisy Ridley to come back down the road. And I would say I was just saying this before we started. It's kind of like how there's now this love of this generation that grew up with Anakin in the prequels and they want more. I think you're going to see that with Rey. This younger generation's going to grow up in 10 years and they're going to want more. Like that's their hero and they want more of that person. So I think they probably will. I'd be shocked if they don't. I mean, I want to see Rey go on some Jedi adventures with that cool new lightsaber that she has.
Oh, we got to see it again. We have to.
definitely. So that's kind of my thoughts. And Natalie,
I'll just say I like this comment. The Rebel base card. I don't know how you could come out of The Force Awakens without super digging Rey. Daisy killed it.
yeah,
I agree.
Daisy was an amazing, brought to life, in my opinion, as we're closing up, brought to life an amazing character that does overcome a lot. And her story, she truly, by the end of it, she's at peace. She has found the first question, like I said, in the Force Awakens trailer, who are you? And at the very final words of this trilogy, she says, I'm Rey Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Like her arc is complete in that sense, like of finding, like, this is who I am. And to me, that's powerful, and it relates to a lot of people, or people can relate to it. So that's kind of my thoughts. Do you have any closing thoughts on this awesome character that I've enjoyed talking about?
I'll see. I'm trying not to too much, or then we'll keep going for another hour. No, I'll echo your thoughts. Rey is my daughter's favorite character in Star Wars. She's not the biggest Star Wars fan, but she sits down and watches it. And Rey and then Padme are her favorite characters. So yes, in 10 years, the generation that our kids now are introduced to Star Wars are introduced to Rey, Finn, and Poe. These are their big three. I think the reason that the original trilogy and now the prequel trilogy is getting so much love, all those kids grew up, are now the ones creating those stories. A lot of the book writers, comic book writers grew up with those stories, Clone Wars, and that's where it gets pushed so much right now, because those are the fans that grew up with those certain stories. 10, 15 years from now, the kids grow up, 25, 30, start working in animation, book writing, scripts, directing, are the ones that grew up with the sequel trilogy. And then we'll see a resurgence again for not just Rey, but the whole sequel trilogy, same as the prequel. Right now, 5 years ago, people started getting that boom again. No, it's not that bad. There are issues with it. We accept it. But look at this how imaginative the whole story of the prequels are. I hope that in 10 years, this generation will grow up, their voice will grow. Me and people older than me will start kind of relaxing a little bit and letting those voices grow and accept that, yes, we grew up with Rey. She's a great character. Let's move this character forward. And those voices are the ones that are going to do this.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Well, and for everyone in the chat, because we do have the Rey giveaway here for you in the chat, we're going to close out the podcast and then we will do the giveaway. So that is it for this episode of Force of Light Entertainment. Again, a special thank you to Alberto from Radio Rebellion. Awesome having you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, and definitely make sure to check out his podcast and YouTube channel, Radio Rebellion. And again, thank you for joining the conversation, and we encourage you to check out some other episodes and subscribe to the channel.
And you can look for a new episode almost every Sunday. And
yes,
we'll throw in something here and there sometimes.
Yes, if you want to reach out to us. And also, Alberto, tell them where they can find you. Where can you be found on social media?
All right. So Instagram and Twitter at Radio Rebel Pod. That's where I do all my social media. Again, every Saturday we go on the YouTubes and do our live show. A lot of the people on the chat know about it. 5 p.m. except this coming weekend. We have some great guests coming in the next 3 weeks, including Michael Condor from Tumet 2. I don't know why I agreed to him being there, but he'll be there in 2 weeks. Galactic Podcast will be there next week, and then Talking with My Hands the week after Michael. So some great guests are coming on. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Follow us on Twitter, like I said, at Radio Rebel Pod. And if you're searching on YouTube, just search Radio Rebellion Podcast and you'll find me there. Personal Twitter at Tweets by AC. But if you want to do Star Wars, just follow the Radio Rebellion Podcast. And yes, subscribe, like, rate, review, everything the kids say. Please go ahead and
7 stars.
7 stars. I think I earned that one star I needed to get to 7.
Yes. And you can find us. We are Force of Light Entertainment on all place podcasts and on YouTube, and also on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me as Michelle34 Smith on Instagram and Twitter. Natalie, where can they find you?
And I am Natalie R. Grace on Twitter and NatLovesBella07 on Instagram.
We appreciate you all again and again. Join the conversation. And next time, let's talk some more movies. All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right. Now, for you all, and I say hello to from a certain point of view to Adam
Yes,
and from Bob's
hello.
Adventures and RFB. We've already mentioned you, Michael. We've mentioned you.
And I'll be talking to Bob tomorrow night, so look
Oh,
out
yes,
for that.
that is true. Yes, you will be. All right. We have, for those, the faithful who have remained, we have the Rey Funko Pop in honor of the person we discussed tonight. And this is how it's going to go. I am going to give, actually, I'm going to let Alberto came up with the question. So get your fingers ready on the keyboard, and whoever answers this correctly first gets the Funko Pop. So
Right.
Alberto, take it away.
All right, so I think probably everyone on the chat might know this. It's not that difficult. So it's going to be who's the quickest on those fingers in the keyboard. So Force Awakens, as we mentioned, is one of our favorite movies from the sequel trilogy. So talking about Rey, when she takes BB-8 to Uncard Plot, how many potions does Uncard Plot offer Rey for BB-8? Go.
Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. You thought it was easy,
I
but
thought.
People are Googling.
they are. They're working their thumbs, and then they're going to start typing. Let's see who can come up with it. I honestly,
What?
it's up
She
to me.
got it. Who? Oh, Michael got it. The guy that doesn't collect Funko Pops got it first.
Michael got it. Does he really not collect Funkos?
That's what he says. He even has stickers. He has them and then does his own giveaways. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, Michael, you are the winner of the Rey Funko Pop.
Congratulations.
Michael of
Yes.
all of them. All
Yes.
right.
Oh, yes. Good job, Michael. Well, thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat. We appreciate you all, and we enjoy doing these live chats some. And Ralph, if you're still there, I saw briefly one of your questions. I know you came in late because I fully answered that question about if I liked Rey, the lineage situation. So you can go back and watch, and you'll get my answer on that. But yeah, thank you to everyone for being in the chat. And again, thank you, Alberto. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And you guys let us know if you guys enjoy these character conversations, because we may start doing some more of them
Because
occasionally.
we can do more.
Yeah, we can do more. We aim to please, because we want the 7 stars that don't exist on YouTube. I mean, on podcast. But anyways, we will go ahead and close the broadcast. So thanks for being with us. And we are supposed to have, I'm not sure if it'll be this coming Monday. So okay, if we do not release a podcast this Sunday, that means that we have scheduled the following week another live event we're trying to get together with the Scuttlebuff podcast to discuss the Indiana Jones trilogy. So we're trying to work out a date for that. So be on the lookout, because we've got some exciting things coming. And we will see you all later. All right. See you guys.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.